You know, it takes a certain kind of person to look at the tallest mountain on Earth and think, yeah, I'll just walk up there. But it takes an even stranger kind of person to not actually do it, then go around bragging like they did. Everest isn't just about climbing, it's about credibility. And once you fake it, trust me, the mountain community will drag you harder than a yak pulling supplies up the Khumbu icefall. Let's start with one of the most infamous cases of mountaineering Photoshop gone wrong. Dinesh and Tarakeshwari Rathod. So here's the setup. Back in 2016, this married couple from India, both police officers by the way, announced they had successfully summited Everest. They proudly showed off their summit photos, the Indian flag in hand, smiling at the top of the world. For a hot minute, they were national heroes. Their department even praised them as the first Indian couple to conquer Everest. But climbers online noticed something off. You know how sometimes you see a badly edited profile picture and the ears are blurred, or the arm is floating at a weird angle? Yeah, same vibe. Their oxygen masks had magically switched colors between frames. Their gloves were different. The logos on their jackets literally shifted, like they'd been swapped out with copy-paste tools. People started zooming in, circling things, posting side-by-side comparisons. It was basically a Reddit detective's dream case. Turns out the Rathods hadn't been anywhere near the summit. They'd taken someone else's legit photo and just patched themselves in like they were updating a Facebook cover image. And the worst part? The original picture belonged to an actual climber, Satyarup Siddhanta, who was very much alive and very much annoyed that his summit moment had been stolen. Imagine grinding for months, risking your life, and then suddenly seeing your face swapped out of your own victory photo. The fallout, brutal. Nepal's government banned the Rathods from climbing in Nepal for 10 years. The international climbing community roasted them endlessly. Their careers as adventurers went up in smoke faster than a faulty camp stove. And honestly, in the era of reverse image search, thinking you can just swipe someone else's Everest pic and not get caught? That's the true height of delusion. Narendra Singh Yadav. Now, if the Rathods were Photoshop amateurs, Narendra Singh Yadav took Everest fakery to the bureaucratic level. This guy was an Indian climber who claimed to have summited Everest in 2016. At first, his story seemed solid. He had photos, he had paperwork, and he even managed to land a prestigious national award, the Tenzing Norgay Adventure Award, basically India's top honor for mountaineering. But once again, the photos didn't hold up. Sharp-eyed climbers spotted inconsistencies, oxygen masks looked suspiciously unused, weather conditions didn't match, and his summit selfies looked like they were taken far lower on the mountain. You know that one friend who brags about going to the gym but only ever posts mirror selfies in the locker room? Same energy. Things snowballed quickly. Investigators in Nepal dug into the details, and in 2021, Nepal's tourism ministry officially declared his 2016 summit claim false. That meant the paperwork was fake, the recognition was fake, and the honor was based on smoke and mirrors. Nepal slapped Yadav with a 6-year climbing ban, while India withdrew his award, going from national hero to national embarrassment in a single press release. That's a fall even steeper than Everest's Lhotse face. But here's the twist in his story. After serving his ban, Narendra came back to the mountain. In 2021, he actually climbed Everest for real. This time, there was no faking. He submitted legitimately. Photos and witnesses confirmed. Which means, in a weird way, he went from a fraud to finally earning the title he once lied about. It's almost Shakespearean. The guy who pretended to be a king eventually actually became one. Still, the stain of that fake attempt never really washed off. Ask anyone in the climbing community about him. and they'll always bring up the scandal first. That's the price of lying at 29,000 feet. You can reach the top later, but your reputation's still stuck in base camp. Marco Confortola. This one's fresh. Marco Confortola, an Italian climber who was once celebrated as a respected alpinist, suddenly found himself accused of faking not just Everest, but multiple Himalayan summits. The evidence? His own summit selfies. Now, mountaineers love their summit selfies. You're exhausted, you can barely breathe, but somehow you whip out your camera to capture that "I made it" moment. The problem is, Marco's selfies started raising eyebrows. They didn't just look suspicious, they looked suspiciously recycled. Same clouds, same angle, same suspicious lighting. People began comparing them frame by frame and realizing, wait a second, these photos don't line up with reality. Climbers and photo analysts dug deeper, and accusations surfaced that Marco had doctored multiple images to prove he'd reached the tops of 8,000-meter peaks, including Everest. Imagine working your way up a mountain with a backpack full of oxygen, ropes, food, and Marco's carrying Adobe Photoshop. And this wasn't some random weekend hiker. Marco had a career, sponsors, speaking gigs, credibility. He wasn't just a guy with an Instagram to flex on. He was a figure in the mountaineering community, which made the accusations sting even more. The controversy blew up in 2025, and the climbing world lost its collective mind. Some defended him, saying the accusations were exaggerated. Others flat out said, nope, he cheated, end of story. Either way, once the suspicion is out there, it sticks. Everest is unforgiving like that. You can recover from frostbite, but a faked photo? That scar never heals. Dale Abenojar. Now, let's rewind a bit and head to the Philippines. Dale Abenojar claimed in 2006 that he was the first Filipino to stand on the summit of Everest. Huge news. Countries love having the first of something, especially when it comes to a global symbol like Everest. Dale went home to a hero's welcome. He was even included in Guinness World Records as the first Filipino summiteer. Cue the flag waving, media attention, and champagne. But here's where things started cracking. Other climbers, journalists, and officials dug into his claim and found not a lot of evidence. Dale had climbed, sure, but whether he actually reached the top, that was another story. His summit certificate wasn't from Nepal's Department of Tourism, the official source, but from a trekking agency. His timing didn't match the logs of other climbers, and no one credible could confirm actually seeing him on the summit. Another Filipino climber, Leo Oracion, had summited just days earlier with clear documentation, and his achievement was widely accepted. Suddenly, it looked like Dale was trying to snatch the title by slipping in a less documented claim. Critics argued that Dale's story didn't add up. Everest isn't the kind of place where you can just sneak past unnoticed. There are fixed ropes, queues of climbers, Sherpas, expedition logs. If you were at the top, someone else should have seen you. Instead, Dale's proof was shaky at best. To this day, his claim is disputed. Some Filipinos still back him, insisting he deserves recognition. Others roll their eyes and credit a Russian instead. Either way, Dale's story shows how powerful national pride can be. Sometimes so powerful that "did he really make it?" gets brushed under the rug. And honestly, imagine claiming Everest in 2006, before social media was everywhere. If you faked it back then, you at least had a fighting chance. These days, the internet will zoom, crop, reverse image search, and tear apart your metadata before you even finish posting. Dale had the misfortune, or the luck, depending how you see it, of doing it at the tail end of the pre-social media era, which is probably why his disputed claim still floats around like a stubborn cloud on the summit. So between Marco and Dale, we've got two very different flavors of fakery. Marco's is the high-tech, repeat offender kind. possibly doctoring multiple climbs with suspicious photos. Dale's is more of a paperwork and pride kind, claiming the first title for a nation without the receipts to back it up. Both cases remind us that on Everest, getting up there isn't just about reaching the summit. It's about proving it beyond a shadow of a doubt. Because climbing Everest might make you legendary for a moment, but faking Everest, that makes you infamous forever. 1960 Chinese expedition, Wang Fuzhou, Kuyinhua, Liu Lianman. Let's set the scene. It's 1960, and China announces to the world that a team of climbers has successfully summited Everest from the treacherous north side. Now, up until then, the north side had a reputation for being nearly impossible. The British had tried it in the 1920s and failed. For decades, climbers believed the route was basically unclimbable. So when China declared victory, it wasn't just a mountaineering milestone, it was a propaganda goldmine. They claimed Wang Fuzhou, Kuyinhua, and Liu Lianman reached the top on May 25, 1960. Cue the triumphant headlines. China had done what the world thought couldn't be done, but almost immediately, doubts crept in. The team provided no summit photo, none. They said their camera froze near the top, which sure sounds plausible. It's Everest after all. But at the same time, our camera broke is the mountaineering equivalent of my dog ate my homework. Skeptics also raised questions about the timing of their climb, the route they claimed to have taken, and the lack of reliable witnesses. Most controversially, they described climbing the infamous second step, a near vertical rock face at around 8,600 meters, without ladders or modern gear. One climber, Liu Lianman, supposedly served as a human ladder, letting the others step on his shoulders to scale the obstacle. Heroic? Yes. Believable? Mountaineers have been arguing about that for 60 years. For decades, Western climbing circles dismissed the claim as political theater. They believed the Chinese government had manufactured a heroic victory for morale during a turbulent time. And with no photo proof, the story stayed stuck in limbo. But then, fast forward to 1975. Another Chinese team reached the summit, this time with photos, and they confirmed that the 1960 team had indeed left a small bust of Mao Zedong on top. That suggested maybe, just maybe, the earlier climb was real after all. Since then, many Chinese mountaineers insist the 1960 ascent was genuine. Western historians still split. Some accept it, others say the logistics just don't add up. Either way, the 1960 Chinese expedition remains one of Everest's most hotly debated did they or didn't they stories. Unlike the Rathads or Narendra Yadav, it wasn't just about personal bragging rights. It was about national prestige, which in some ways makes it the most fascinating Everest controversy of them all. So what do these stories really show? From the Rathads' Photoshop tricks to Narendra Yadav's tainted comeback, Marco Confortola's recycled selfies, Dale Abenojar's disputed first, and China's Cold War climb. It's clear Everest isn't just a mountain, it's a stage. On that stage, the line between glory and scandal is paper thin. You can fake a photo, forge paperwork, or spin a tale for years, but the truth always melts out of the ice. Because Everest doesn't care about egos. It just stands there indifferent while reputations rise and collapse. And if you fake it, maybe you'll snag a headline, but you'll never outrun the campfire jokes at base camp. So what do you think? Who pulled off the most ridiculous Everest fakery? Was it the Rathads with their copy-paste summit dreams, Narendra's National Award debacle, Marco's Photoshop drama, Dale's disputed first, or China's Cold War climb? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let's settle which fake summit deserves the crown of shame. And hey, if you enjoyed this dive into the wildest side of mountaineering, Make sure to stick around for more stories that prove sometimes the biggest avalanches come from human pride, not snow.